and you are putting something like $5,000
in your pocket.
You know, imagine.
Farming.
That is farming for you.
Is there going to be cash flow? Am I going to take care of myself and my family with that?
The reason why we came here is not for sure. The reason why we came here is not to show the world that we are better than them. Is to encourage the next farmer who is in the rural areas.
If you want to be a farmer, just make sure that you don't have chicken blood. From your own perspective as a farmer, would you encourage people to do projects in the rural areas?
If you look at our place, this is a rural setup.
Exactly.
And we are doing this on a land less than a hectare.
People used to say Zimbabwe was once the breadbasket of Africa. Do you think that Africa in general, since we have a conducive environment for farming, we are going to be the breadbasket of the whole world? Because at the end of the day, what pains me is that here in Africa, we have the conducive ground for farming. But we are importing food. Do you think that we are going to change our perspective and mentality and reach a level where we are exporting and they are buying from us as Africa? Is this kind of business capital intensive when I'm starting?
Yes, you actually need money. Considering here we've got 2, 4, 5. We've got 5 girls here. They are all pregnant.
They are all pregnant?
They are all pregnant.
Wow.
We are talking about the pregnant girls. These ones are starting to give birth in June, you know. So if we are selling you, we are trying to say this is 500.
Yeah.
So 5 by 5.
Hey.
This is how much you need. If you want to start a 5-saw piggery, this is exactly a 5-saw piggery.
2.5.
2.5. That's how much you need for the stock only. Before we talk about building the state,
infrastructure,
etc. We are not talking about that. Feed. We are not talking about that.
Vaccination.
We are not even talking about that. We are just talking about the buying stock. So you need about 2.5. But it is worth an investment.
Exactly.
It is worth an investment. But on that 2.5, we have got 5 here. We are producing 50, piglets on average. And you'll be selling that for $50 each.
So let's talk about the market. When I'm looking at my market, when I'm starting, I can start off selling the winners because they are not going to be eating much if I'm selling them at a young age. Yes,
it depends with your sow units. How many sows do you want to keep in your piggery? So if you want to do a 5-sow unit, no problem in selling winners. You are okay. But here you can see that, as we said, we've got we have got 33 sows, and we want to increase that to 50. Our target is a 50-sow unit here. So for 50 sow, it means we haven't sold much since we started last year in May.
Yes.
And we haven't sold much. All what we sold are boas, the males or the females which can make a good breed, we were keeping them. So that means we're just selling the males. The females, we're keeping them. So we can't say we have started reaping rewards, because we'll see the rewards when we get to our 50 sow unit, which we believe by October this year, we're already 50 sow pregnant. Then we are done.
You said that it's capital intensive, yes?
Yes.
So when I'm starting, should I start small or start big?
Ambitions are different. Ambitions are different. Myself, I was at one point in time told that no, what I need is just a 10 sow. I can't even run a 20 sow unit, But the people that were saying that, they didn't know my ambition. They didn't know I was determined. So if you want to start big, you need to invest in the project, in feed, mostly in feed, because you just need feed and you just need water. At the end of the day, we come back to your question about hygiene and cleanliness. This is water. If we had no water here, it was going to be disaster. And you can see around that there are no even flies, because we clean our
There are
stands.
no flies here.
There are no flies here. Just normal. There are no flies. There are no more flies, because we clean our stands. So you need that water, you need bore, which runs 24/7. so that water is provided clean. And you can see, maybe the cameraman can just show this water, it's very clean. Very, very clean, There's no point that this water is going to be dirty when actually the big pigs are clean. So you need feed, you need water. Those are two major components that you need before we talk about pig stays. And if you go to other areas, to other farmers, you can find that even their pig stay, they are not even roofed like this, They are just open spaces, but it's not advisable. But maybe the farmer is just operating on a shoe tight string budget. Since we said you need money on these things. Okay. But if you can just bet your 2.5, I bet you that you can do better. I've started this piggery project or business a year ago in May 2024.
A year ago?
A year ago.
Now what I want to understand is that you are a year into the business. How many pigs do you have now?
So far, when you ask me about how many pigs do I have, my conscience or my understanding is I don't normally count the pigs that we are fattening for market. We count the pigs that we are breeding, the breeding stock.
The breeding stock.
That's what I count. Because that's what belongs to me. The rest ones I'm selling. So for market, I can't count them.
So the breeding stock.
So the breeding stock so far, I've got a 30 sow. So by now, I'm saying I've got a 30 sow unit.
Okay.
On 30 sows, I've got 2 balls.
Have you started seeing the lucrative side of it? And are you now starting to see the returns? And how long did it take you for you to start seeing the returns?
Yes, that's a good question. You know how it is. I think this you can understand as a man. When you approach a lady in the streets or wherever you can meet a lady, you see the potential of a lady, and you can see that she can make a good wife. Maybe she's beautiful for you, or maybe it's the manners or whatever you have admired, but you can see that she can make a good wife.
True.
So this is the same with this project. Since I'm a year old into the project, yes, I've started to see the positive side of the project.
How did you start?
Okay. It happened at some point. I went to Macheke. There was another small pig farmer in Macheke who was doing piggery. So he just invited me to his place to see the piggery project. So when I went there, he had not had much of stock, with him. He just had 3 pregnant sows, So he lectures me about how this piggery business goes about. So I took an interest into the piggery. Then there was one sow which was about to give birth in 2 weeks' time. Then I asked him the price. How much is it? Then he said, no, it's 500. I said, no, 500 is too much. Can you just lower the price? Then he lowered the price. He said, you can give me 450. And I said, no, 450 is too much. Just make it 400. Then he said, all right, 400 is fine. Then immediately, because I had $400 in my pocket, remember this was spontaneous. I just count $400. I just give him $400, and he said, it's fine, my brother, I will deliver your pig in 2 weeks' time, because that one was supposed to give birth in 2 weeks' time. Then I came here. I'll show you down there the way I started to build. I just did 1 pig stay, to accommodate for that 1 pig. In 5 days' time, the pig stay was already done. I called him, my guy, I'm done with building the pig stay. And then he delivered my pig. But unfortunately, the pig that he sold me is not the pig that he delivered. It was a different one. Of course, it was pregnant, but it was almost 1 month pregnant. That means I paid for a pig which had left with 2 weeks to deliver.
Yes.
Then I got a pig which had almost 2 months, 3 weeks, 3 days and 3 hours to deliver, But I did not lose heart. I think that's where the interest started from. Then from there, I wanted to buy some more from him. Then I said, no, let me cancel the deal, because this was not an honest deal from the beginning.
Why is it that people behave like this when it comes to business here in Africa?
Yeah, we have other people who doesn't have the products or the stock. As we go around, you shall see that here we have got the stock. We don't sell what we don't have. We just sell what we have. If the stock runs out, we just tell you that no, the stock ran out. But if we have, we just give you what we have. So I'm sure that people capitalize from my lack of understanding, or you can also be capitalized from your lack of understanding. Because remember, you're new in the business and you want to start the business and you don't have understanding of whatsoever the bigger business is. So I can just give you a guilt which is not even pregnant, while this I'm telling you it's pregnant.
Oh.
Then later on I bought 3 more, then to make them 4. So I started with 4 mothers.
So now I want to talk about the breeding stock. Let's say I'm starting piggery and then I have like 10 breeding stock. Is there going to be cash flow? Am I going to take care of myself and my family with that from your own perspective if you have to look at it?
Yes, I can safely say yes. You can look after your family effectively. But as I said, that this is not for the faint-hearted. Because for you to start selling, it depends with which market you are earmarking. Maybe we have got 3 markets in the piggery industry. 3 markets, the major ones, before we get into other sub ones. So we have got market for winners. So some people say winners. Winners we are meaning from 6 weeks. As soon as we win them at 4 weeks, 2 weeks feeding them, make sure that they are strong, then at 6 weeks we start selling them, or maybe you can sell them at 8 weeks, or you can sell them at 10 weeks, they are still winners. Then that's the first market. So if you are earmarking for the market for winners, my friend, in the next 3.5 months, you are already starting to take orders for winners. You're already done. So considering you said you have got 10 sows, on average, it means they give birth to 10 piglets on average each. So that means you have got 100 piglets, depending on how you are staggering them. So 100 piglets, considering that you are selling them at maybe $50 each, because they range from $30 up to $70. But I've realized some they go up to $95, depending on the breed. So I don't normally recommend you for the $30 ones because they are inferior quality. The normal price of piglets is from $50.
$50?
$50 going up. So now that you have got on average 100 piglets and you want to sell them all at $50.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But we are saying now they haven't taken much of your feed.
Yes.
They haven't taken much of a feed. And you are putting something like $5,000
in your pocket.
Imagine.
Farming.
That is farming for you. That is farming for you. And after that, we have got the market for breeding stock.
Yes.
You can sell breeding stock. Like what we have here. Here we have got pregnant girls. If we just want to sell them, like if we had orders, we can actually sell them, and we sell them for $450 to $5. I mean to $500 each. Each. You see, but you can get some for $300, 250. Now, as I said, it depends on the breed. We have got a lot of people who are doing piggery, all around the country. But the way they are doing their piggery differentiates one from the other.
What about the breed that you're dealing with?
Here we have got a large white TN70.
Okay.
And that is the breed that we want to specialize on.
Why? Why did you choose that breed to be specific?
TN70 is excellent qualities as compared to other breeds. Number one, the feed conversion ratio is very high. When I researched about TN70, it was said if you give it about 5 kgs of feed per day, it will give you 2.5 kgs of meat per day. That means the feed ratio conversion is very high, it's very effective. That means in about 4 to 4.5 months, if you are just feeding them non-stop feed throughout the day, all day round, you get about a maximum of about 120 to 130 live weight, which will give you a maximum of about 80 to 90 kgs dead weight.
What about the feed? A lot of people are struggling with feed.
Feed is expensive. That's what I can tell you. But why I say it's expensive, to some it's cheaper, But for us, it's expensive because we've got two types of feeds. We've got the straight feed, which you just go and buy from the feed houses, like Fivet, like Feed Mix, etc., etc. You know, it costs us about $30 per bag, considering you've got a huge number of pigs, and your pigs are eating about 3 kgs of feed per day, considering we've got 100 pigs, and they're eating 3 kgs of feed per day. That's how expensive the feed is, you know. But you can also do your own feeds by buying the premixes, and then you mix your own feed. Like myself here, if it's straight feed, I use Fivet. You know, Fivet is the best for me for straight feed. I trust it. Maybe you shall see what we are producing with Fivet feed. If we are mixing, we buy our stuff, our raw materials from Red Den. You know, we use what they call the K-mix feed mixes. That's what we use. And it is proven to be the best for us. We haven't tried, in fact, we have tried some, but they were not quite effective. But this is what we say is effective. So if you are mixing feed, according to the researchers, we are still doing the case study on our part. But they say you cut your feed cost by 70%, 60 to 70%, if you are mixing your own feed. That means you have got your own maize. And you just buy the wheat bran, you just buy the base mix, you just buy the soya meal, and you just buy the toxin binders, you know, and you do your own feed. Now you are cutting the cost for feed with about 60 to 70%, which makes feed much more cheaper if you are doing your own feeds than if you are buying straight feed.
So one of the things that I want to talk about, we said that the business is capital intensive. And for those who have the money, have started the business, and some are starting the business. But other people are hesitant to start a business like this because they think that, oh, everyone is doing this project these days. Is there a market? Is there still a gap for those who want to start this business?
If you go to the Ministry of Agriculture, and you inquire about the meat consumption per month, per week, per month, or per year, Zimbabwe, we are way far in meeting the demand for meat. This has got infinite market. It's not even too late to start this, especially we have got people who have got money, we have got people, even people from diaspora who just want to invest in their retirement projects back here home. This is the best project to do. Meat is always, people, they always eat meat on daily basis. Imagine how many people, Zimbabwe, it has got almost about 20 to 25 million people population, you know, and more than half of that population, it's an adult population, and everyone on average, you take meat on almost 5 days per week, you know, and the demand for meat is always there. It's infinite. You will never finish the demand for meat. This is a good business to start.
When you're looking at us as Africans in terms of business, in terms of farming, are we doing it right?
As Zimbabweans and Africans at large, we are not yet doing business right. We are still cutting at the corners due to financial constraints mostly. Because if you look here, all the states that we have, these are low-cost housing. These are just the housing that will motivate someone to start the project. It's not difficult. But if you go to established piggeries, like for example, Kokom, if you just go there, you can't even manage to do their pig stay. You know, it's a state of the art. You know, so here in Zimbabwe and Africa at large, we have got the financial constraints. We don't have money capacity. We don't have credit lines. Because imagine if we had credit lines here, we would have done better pig stays because we have got opportunity to raise capital. But this is also funded. So that will hinder other people to do business. You might as well want to do the project, but you don't have the capital. You know, it remains a dream, you know, on paper, you know, until you die. You'll be lucky to leave it to your son and say, my son, this is what I wanted to do. Maybe one day you will get the chance, you also do it. Otherwise, you also fail to do it. It's because of the capital constraints.
What are the challenges that you have faced so far as someone who is into pig farming?
The major challenge that we have faced so far is raising cash. That's the major challenge. Because we would want to expand very fast, but because we are so funding, we are just getting our monies and on monthly basis that we are doing all these things. So it's a challenge because what we want is not what is happening on the ground. We are taking time to grow because of that. We can't talk about market because market is infinite. The other challenge is maybe the price, the meat price, you know. And remember, if you are a farmer who is producing raw, the market for raw materials everywhere is lower than the market for the price is lower than the price for a finished product, you know, which is another major concern which can hinder us from growth, you know. Where we are saying with the time we also to improve ourselves into meat processing, you know, so that we just farm our meat here, we take them for our own abattoir and butchery, we process them into sausages, into different types of pork quality or pork meat, you know. Then we sell as a finished product, you know, to clients. Because if we sell this, we are selling about $3 per kg to abattoirs, which will then in turn also sell to butchery people for about $3.60, $70, and they in turn sell sell at $5 to $6 depending with their market. So it's a disadvantage to the farmer who is doing this, but the prices they're always low. It's a challenge.
Would you encourage someone who have a place in the rural areas to start a project like this? The reason being, I've been receiving a lot of messages and even comments on my videos, people actually discouraging other people to do projects in the rural areas. They say, oh, it's not a good place to do projects. From your own perspective as a farmer, would you encourage people to do projects in the rural areas?
The reason why we came here is not for show off. The reason why we came here is not to show the world that we are better than them. No, it's to encourage the next farmer who is in the rural areas. If you look at our place, this is a rural setup, and we are doing this on a land less than a hectare, you know. We are actually doing this. So whoever has got land less than a hectare, you can actually do farming. You can actually do piggery. And remember, when you are in the rural areas, life is cheap. You can just here we have got pigs here. The manure that came from the west that we came from here is manure, you know, to our vegetable garden.
Yes.
So we just put our vegetable garden, and this is manure, and you see, you simplify life. So I would rather encourage everyone who wants to do the piggery to do piggery, because it's the best that you can do, you know, with your time, being your own boss. You know, without anyone waking you up, you know, by 8 o'clock or by 6 a.m., you know, you wake up at your own time. If you just set 3 a.m., you know it's 3 a.m. And 10 a.m., you're already done. You know, you're your own boss. So I'd rather encourage all those who ask you about the piggery project, you know, in the rural areas, that this is the best thing to do. You know, there's no time to waste, and time is now.
What comes to mind when you hear the word farming?
Farming of late, it was associated with maize.
Yes.
We just think farming is maize. We just think farming is soybeans.
Yes.
We just think farming is wheat. You know, that's what we always think. And remember, we carried a colonial system, you know, where we just think that farming is done, you know, in A2 or A1 farmers, you know, are the ones that can do farming, and the white community are the ones that can do farming. You know, farming is everything that can be done on the land. You know, remember, as I said, if you just get a piece of land, you can actually do farming. So this is the most lucrative part of farming, more than maize production or maize crop.
Oh, okay. Do you think that we're going to reach a level where we say, because people used to say Zimbabwe was once the breadbasket of Africa. Do you think that Africa in general, since we have a conducive environment for farming, we are going to be the breadbasket of the whole world? Because at the end of the day, what pains me is that here in Africa, we have the conducive ground for farming, but we are importing food. Do you think that we are going to change our perspective and mentality and reach a level where we are exporting and they are buying from us as Africa, as a ground that grows natural food, not with chemicals. Do you think we're going to do that?
Yes, we are actually going to do that. It's not very far. We can just count about 5 years from now, because as you can see, of late we have got the indigenization policy, you know, and now we have been encouraging people to take farming as a profession, you know. Long back when you do farming, it was associated with poorness, you know.
Yes.
Murimarombe, you know,
Yes,
Murimarombe,
yes.
zidzai munotaka mabasa doctor, nurse, teacher, you know, the farming is really marombe. But little did we know that those people were the ones who were feeding the whole population and the whole Africa. So now I'm sure in 5 years time to come, we are going to surpass the level that we are. Look at what we are doing in tobacco. Now the export market is open. Even if I want to export my pigs here, I can just go to the Ministry of Agriculture, you know, and then fill some forms and declare my interest. And then the vets, they come here, they check my farm, the hygiene papers, everything, you know. Then they give me the certificate. So now I can export. But there is no awareness. We are lacking awareness. So I think if government take awareness to a larger scale, so that everyone is informed about the opportunities that is awaiting them if they do their produce.
Looking at young people, they say that farming is for old people. What's your message to that?
You can look at me now. Do I look what?
No. No.
You see, that was a long time in old and ancient thinking that farming was for old people. Actually, it's because our forefathers never taught us about farming. They never trained us about farming. But now, because the new generation is now coming into farming, it now belongs to the younger generation, because we are the ones who are very innovative, embracing the innovative way of farming and of doing business. You know, it's the younger generation. And the baton was passed to us, and we are now passing it to our kids also to do this thing. So now it's no longer a game of saying, no, it's for the old. No, now it's for the young generation, because we are the ones who have got life.
You know, one of the things that I've noticed when I got here is that even the pigsty is clean. Even the pigs themselves, they are clean. How important is that aspect when it comes to piggery?
Hygiene is very important when it comes to piggery, because I just give a doubt on those people that always associate pigs with the dirty.
Yes.
You know, pigs are the most cleanest animals that I've never seen. You know, for these things to say they are dirty, it is actually you who is dirty. Here we have got our guys, our manager and the guys here who just clean the pigs and who just train the pigs. Because if you look at them, they are very clean, they are very nice on daily basis. This is how the stairs are. It's not for the camera. No, this is how they are. You know, if it was for the camera, you can't wash this thing, you know, in just a few minutes overnight, and it's clean. You can actually see that it has got stains. So piggery is piggery and cleanness is one thing that goes hand in hand. So if they have got it dirty, it is you who is actually dirty. These things are the most cleanest things.